everyone. Welcome to FGC Con Online Live. Like, it's got so many superlatives there for 2025. We are really thrilled to be here with you today. We're going to jump in first here with some introductions. Doug, take it away. Make sure you know who everybody is here.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Doug Davison, the president of SmiteWorks, and been with Fantasy Grounds since 2009 when John and I took it over. So, yeah, welcome.
It was a long time ago. John.
I'm the chief tech guy, sort of divided up the ownership of the company when we came on board, and I'm mostly here to shepherd all the projects into final form on the website.
And I am Adam Bradford. I'm the CDO, which is just a completely made up title, but work with Doug and John on bringing Fantasy Grounds into some bold new future directions that we're going to talk about a little bit here today. And we are going to just jump right into this with our first announcement. Roll the footage.
Once upon a time, a mighty sorceress wanted to choose the right VTT. She tried out all of the free ones, but they were too lightweight or made her subscribe for core features. And the others cost too much. So she conjured a powerful spell to attain her heart's true desire. Fantasy Grounds Virtual Tabletop. Free to play, all of the power, none of the cost.
All right, everybody. So that's the big reveal, is we are now officially free. So we are free. That means no license costs. But surely you need subscriptions, right, Adam?
No. Subscriptions are bad.
No subscriptions.
We have too many subscriptions. Yeah.
No monthly subscriptions, no annual subscriptions. Okay, but surely there's features that are locked behind some kind of a paywall. There's a new
Well, I mean, that's what all of them do, right? I mean, you can't, John, nothing is free.
There are features that are not available in this version, right?
I don't know of any.
Oh, so we get all of the same features that we have in the full version, but just completely free now? That's crazy.
Seems too good to be true.
What have we been smoking over here in SmiteWorks land? I don't know, but yeah, so pretty much that's the major reveal for us. It's a huge leap forward. We've always felt in the past that Fantasy Grounds is like the best way to play and experience RPG games online. And when you go and you look online, and people would always ask, oh, I want to start playing online or looking for a BTT, what options are available? And they would always be broken down, and most places would recommend check out these free options first, and then here's some paid options. And they would always list and say great things about Fantasy Grounds on the paid option side. But we felt like there's a lot of people that come in and they never leave that free space, supposed free space landscape. And those are not normally even really truly free. A lot of times there's stuff locked behind, features are locked away. And then, yeah, the free version gives you some of the system, but not all of it. Or yes, but then you need to get a subscription to do this other thing or to host your games or whatever. And we just feel like we've got the best RPG game platform there is. And we really wanted to be in front of more people, to really expose it and allow people to have their games and play it in any way that they really want. So that's the major focus that we're looking forward to is now. And, we've had people that have supported us for many, many years. And so we don't want them to feel like, okay, well, this is great, but it's not, what does it do for me? Nothing, right? But we have a bunch of rewards. We're going to cover those later. But if you have a license, there's a new rewards section you'll be able to go to and claim over $130 worth of content. You can pick and choose of 15 different options that we're giving away for free if you had a license of Fantasy Grounds today. So we want we want everyone to be excited about this announcement. We've got other really cool stuff we're going to show later as well. And so with that, I want to pass it back to Adam and let him go into the next thing that's exciting.
Yeah, I wanted to add a little bit here on the free to play transition that we're going through too. One of the journalists that is going to cover this announcement for us asked me the question, what makes this different than other virtual tabletops that are currently free out there in the space, and what sets this apart? And I think when they asked the question, after I gave my answer, they were like, "Oh, I asked that question without even understanding fully what you meant by free to play here," because there is just this expectation that if it's free, then you're going to hit a paywall at some point, right? Like that you're going to hit this point where you have to go buy line of sight and fog of war, or, like whatever it is, you have to subscribe, or you have to buy something else to unlock it. And I think that one of the great things about just this storied history that Fantasy Grounds has of being in the space for as long as it has, and to really grow up into this just really, really powerful, flexible tool like it has, is that when we make this transition to free to play, that we're removing this barrier of entry, that you don't need licenses anymore. So the build went out yesterday and people were like, wait a minute, like this is a major version release. Why is where are the rest of the features? Obviously this is a big turning point for the application, and you can now download, install the app and get playing without getting a license key in there anymore. But you might expect that to hit a paywall somewhere. You're not going to, because it is just completely entirely free to play, and the accessibility that that's going to bring, and hopefully new people into the Fantasy Grounds ecosystem. Obviously that is the goal. We want people to be able to try this out at no cost and see how great this is, and grow the ecosystem and grow the community.
Right. And you
really
mentioned
excited.
the ecosystem. So a lot of our success has always been community, what we call community developers and community creators that go out there. And we have the FG Forge that we put together that lets people put out their own adventure modules and extensions and all this sort of stuff, art packs, asset packs, that sort of thing. And now all of these creators all around the world can now use Fantasy Grounds without having to go buy a license first. It's easy for them to get in and start creating content, making it available for other people out there. There's a lot of people that do that just for the love of the game, and they give a lot of their content away for free. And there are other people that do that as a way to like make a little extra money on the side and to fund their hobby too. So both of those groups of people are welcome on the platform. It's going to expose it to a lot of people that couldn't afford it at all previously. So there's a lot of super creative people that live in countries that don't have as much liquid cash to be able to buy applications and to spend on investing in that sort of thing. Like Brazil's got a huge RPG market as well. And so I'm looking forward to seeing like just an influx of new people coming in, new creators, new gamers and GMs and everything. So
I think that's the key with the new people too, is thinking about people new to the hobby. One of the stories, Doug, that you've mentioned in our discussions is if somebody wanted to try out the new Stranger Things box set, the way that's out there right now, Wizards of the Coast has done a great job with a really accessible price point with that. I think it's only $20 in digital form to be able to get it. But if it was a group of people who had been thinking about playing Dungeons and Dragons and wanted to give it a try online because they were located remotely, and they wanted to try to fire this up before this transition, $20 is one thing, $20 or $30 to get started, but $70 or $80 is another, because having to buy a license before you could get into the game content itself, and that barrier is just completely removed now. So that's really exciting. So one of the key things is we have had incredibly loyal supporters over the years who bought a license when it was a lot more than $50, who have bought a license more recently. We wanted to make sure that we expressed our thanks for that, to really say thank you for all of that support. And so we are going to have a way for you to claim rewards. And so Doug, I want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to our website, and I think we're going to show the link later on that as well, it's going to be /claim rewards. And on this particular page, it'll give you a list of all the different options. You'll need to just go through and select which options you want to add to your account, because not everyone wants all of these things on their account. It will run, it'll add to your update, it'll download it to your system if they're in your account. So pick and choose what you want there. These are from a number of our sponsors and our partners who've been with us for many, many years. So we have several things directly from SmiteWorks that we're offering as well for free. Dice packs, and there's a couple map packs and an immersive strongholds and another map pack in there as well. And then we have content from Wizards of the Coast, Paizo, Modiphius, Chaosium, Cobalt Press, Renegade Games, AAW Games, Pinnacle, Mongoose, and Goodman Games. So thanks to each of those partners as well for helping support us. And many of them have been with us ever since we took ownership back in 2009, and have stuck with us this entire time. So we're super excited. We're also hopeful that this should allow us to funnel more, more their way as well, because we're removing ourselves from that front blocker. So it goes right into, people can get right into the content sooner and cheaper. And, the more that we can send back to them, we act like a major bookstore is kind of what we act like. And so, the more that we can ship their way, the more that helps them. We just become a part of the RPG industry and helping lift up everybody else as well.
All right. Let's jump into another of our major announcements that we've got going here today. Roll that footage. And that's right. We've got the beta access live now for the online reader for Fantasy Grounds content. So this is a way for you to be able to access all of your Fantasy Grounds library. All of it might not quite be there yet. We've got over 1,600 titles that are going to be available right away in this beta, but we're going to be adding those rapidly over the course of our beta testing period. One of the things that I want to call out, you can try this right now. You can go to the website. You can see into the main nav. You're going to see that it's going to have a My Library section now. So on that My Library, you can click in there, and then any of the things that you own that we have added into the online reader beta is going to be available for you there. The key here that I want to really emphasize is this is actually a beta. I know lots of companies, video game companies in particular, slap that beta label on there these days to mean that this is just a pre-order or a way to early access and collect money early. That's not what we're doing, because we're not collecting money for this. This is a free feature that you're getting, that if you own content, you can go and see that content online now. But it really is a beta, so there are going to be rough edges at this point in time. This is the beginning of the adventure, and certainly not the end of it. But we wanted to go ahead and make this access available to you now because of a couple of core reasons. First of all, your feedback is really important to us, and so we want that feedback to help us shape the product into exactly what it needs to be, for this online reader feature. But then also, as we were, getting things set up for it internally, we were kind of saying, hey, even in this really early and unfinished state, this is pretty useful. Like this is kind of nice to have this, on our phone, already. And even in this early state, it being so useful, we wanted to go ahead and open up the access, because I do think that if you try it out, you'll get some use out of it, even in this stage.
I want to jump in here real quick too, because one of the other major things is frequently requested by our diehard users is they always want to be able to pop content out of Fantasy Grounds and have it in a separate window. And in a sense, if the module that you are wanting to run is in this situation, you can do that, by having it running in the side over here and look up stuff or refer to the adventure and use that if you really want to as well. It'll still be, it's basically the same kind of content as what you would see within Fantasy Grounds. It is just another view, another look of that same data. But Adam's done a great job with styling it out and making it look better. And it's just going to continue to get better. I mean, it's evolved consistently over the short period of time that he's been going through and doing the styling. It's going to continue to do so until we can really just do a lot more on the styling side than we could even in Fantasy Grounds. So.
And it's not just the stuff that you've already bought, but it's also the SRD content that we have published as well. So that content is up there and it's free for anyone to read and use on our website.
Yeah, and I think one of the key things here, again, with this being a beta, is that we are going to be adding more and more content. We have almost 4,000 titles on Fantasy Grounds, so it's just this massive catalog. And again, one of the key things, one member of our team in particular, Thomas, has been really working on the kind of behind the scenes back end conversion layers from XML out of the Fantasy Grounds app into being able to get it into a web browser like this. But there's so much activity that has happened in a very short amount of time that it's really exciting to just think about what this means for content conversion, in the future. So lots of things that this is a first few steps into something that is going to evolve into something truly great over time, and we're really excited about that. We're
2 decades worth of content essentially too. So bear that in mind, that the content on Fantasy Ground has evolved and changed over time too. So when we look at porting over some of our older content, some of those didn't even have a reference manual. Like that's something that we developed at some point in the last 6-7 years or so. So we've got maybe over a decade of content that doesn't even have reference manuals. So some of those things are going to still come through. I mean, we have some examples up on the library today where you can see that, and it shows you all your story entries that you can look through. But we want to then eventually go back and pretty up some of those things too, and make that look nice, even though they come from older material.
Yeah, and we're gonna put a pin in this for the most part right now, because we've got some other things that we want to talk about in this panel. We just wanted to get the news out there that literally you can just go click around and try it out in its infancy right now, as it's out there in the beta. Plenty more to come. And if you want a little bit of a deeper dive into not only seeing the online reader a little bit, but talking about some of the thought process behind it, and a little bit of talking about some of the things that we have planned for it, like later down the road on the roadmap. There is going to be a dedicated panel for that later, where I'm going to be talking about a few of those things. So check out the schedule. I believe it is at 3 p.m. Pacific. So if you are interested in hearing more about the online reader beta, then you can tune in for that panel a little bit later in the day. All right, let's move into another pretty exciting thing here that I'm looking forward to.
So as we have been working in the background, we have lots of tech projects that are constantly shuffling around, moving forward, and we try to bundle those into releases. And so one of the projects that we've been working on, we call screen effects. And the idea is to add more of ambience to the gameplay that you have by creating a system to display whatever effects on the screen wherever you want them. So we've been working on this system for a while, on and off, and it's taken a while because we're also trying to define what it is that we want to have happen and what are things that we would like to see out there. And so we've the video is showing some of the examples of that, like intro screens with the parallax effect, some token speech bubbles, spell effects, toast effects coming in from the side, let you know what's going on, attack and damage animations. And so this is happening in the background. So this is some of the bits and pieces are under the hood already in 5.0, but that's one of the things that will be coming after this big launch, is moving towards adding more features like that. So we have this capability in prototyping right now. We've been using it and looking at it in-house. And so we're excited to keep that moving forward. Initially, it'll be sort of pre-canned kind of stuff that can be triggered in the rule set for things that we find really useful. But in the long run, it will also be available to developers to trigger those things in their own systems, or to even create something new using the APIs under the hood as developers.
Yeah, so let me jump in here too, because some of the impetus for what we were looking to do is we would just want to add more dopamine effects essentially for all your players, so that when they're in the game, they're getting these little hits of dopamine all, throughout the process. They're having fun throughout, regardless of whose turn it is. We want it to be impactful when you do like a nice big critical hit on someone and have some cool effect happen or something like that. We want to really just kind of dial up what we think the fun is. And I think that's going to allow people to really get super immersed in the experience. People wanted to have maps be a more greater focus on maps in the game. And so having a lot of these things used to show up only in the chat window, they still show up there. So you'll always be able to open up the chat like you can in a lot of video games. Like if you play Baldur's Gate or you play any of the Pathfinder TRPG games, that sort of stuff, they would always have all the details of what you rolled, all that sort of stuff there. But we can show that on the map and then have the damage just flying off of your characters, and we can have the speech bubbles go directly over top of your character's name. So as people are talking about, it just makes it a very interactive experience, and that's what we're hoping to do. And I'm also, as John mentioned, so he built out APIs, and we have these templates that we think look really good. Those are going to go out with a lot of our core systems and just be applied where we think they make the most sense. But the really cool feature as well is because you guys always take stuff to a different level than we don't even think about. And so I'm also very excited to see what you guys do with these APIs once you get them internally and you start just doing stuff that we never even considered. So yeah, really cool stuff. Some of the examples that we're showing were like, whenever conditions get dropped on tokens and stuff like that, just reinforcing all that sort of stuff. So you don't have to go look at the combat tracker, look at the chat window, look at this and that, whatever. It'll be in each of those places. So no matter what you have open on your screen, you'll get the notifications and you'll see what's going on in your game.
I just want to throw out a quick disclaimer as the visuals guy here, that this is showing off the functionality, but I do want to throw out there that this is developer assets that we're currently using. We're gonna clean up a lot of these assets where it's going to look even better than what you're seeing here. But the idea of that interactivity is a really key one. And another part that I was really excited about, as Doug initially was kind of laying out the vision for screen effects, was just even simple things like UI feedback. And so, of course, a lot of applications these days use these things that are called toast messages, where it's just letting you know that you just successfully accomplished something, because it fades onto the screen briefly and tells you that it was a confirmation message, and then it fades away. And those little bits of polish are really, really good for kind of a tight user interface. And so, as you can see here on the screen, this also allows us to do things like toast messages for somebody just changed their turn, and then now it's going to tell you who's got the next turn, and that sort of thing. So really excited about the possibilities here. And as John was saying, it really is a framework that we're gonna I'm sure think of new things that this can possibly tie into in the future. And even these little parallax intro screens are an example of that. I don't even think that we had seen that or thought of that until about a week ago. And then Carl actually said, "Hey, I was just kind of playing around with this. I thought this was an interesting idea." And we were like, "Yeah, we think it's an interesting idea. Let's refine it." And everything. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah,
let's add it to the stream.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, John.
Oh, I just said, the next thing is, oh, well, let's add it to the stream. And it's like, can we actually do that? And,
Right.
and when we were developing this feature, of course, Doug and Adam were like, we want to do this and this and all these different things. And it's like, okay, let's pick a few. Let's start with a few and let's do them right and deliver them. Go ahead, Doug.
Right. Yeah. Whenever they show me pretty things, I'm always like, yes, let's do that. That should be the thing. Yeah. So it's even prototypes. If they show it to me, they're always like, okay, now be careful, Doug. Doesn't mean we can do this right away, but yeah.
John is always trying to tell everybody to simmer down, so. but John's also the one that's managing the team that has to make all this stuff happen. So it's been a really great balance. But yeah, really thrilled about the possibilities for these screen effects. All right, we're getting into our time here. One thing I wanted to say is that I meant to say at the start is if you have any questions for any of us, you can go ahead and ask those. I don't know exactly how that happens in chat. I'm hoping that Paulette is in chat there and can kind of explain how you can start asking those questions. But she's going to collect those for us. And here at the end, we're going to try to leave as much time as possible to answer as many questions as we can get to. So feel free to start asking those questions at this point. I see a question has already come through. So yeah, that's working. Y'all ask questions. We'll get to them at the end. All right. What do we have next? Waypoints. Okay, excellent. I am really excited about this one too. So waypoints, one of the things that we released last year, while time flies, at some point last year, we released 2.5D camera mode. And this is something that we have really seen quite a few reactions about this that are really, really positive. But what's interesting about it is most of the time when we show this off to streamers who are using Fantasy Grounds or publishers and they see it, their reaction is like, whoa, wow, like that's really, really cool. And then they almost always follow it up with, I didn't even know about that. I didn't know that was there or whatever, right? And so one of the things behind this that we've seen with camera mode is that when people have it in place, they love it and they want to use it, but then maybe setting this up is something that people haven't quite figured out how to do in some places yet. And so we wanted to actually put out a new type of product, and so that's what these waypoints are going to be, that are going to focus on iconic locations that you can really just drop into any of your campaigns that you have out there. So we're going to start out with some, pretty medieval fantasy based locations, but over time we'll include some sci-fi, cyberpunk, all of the different genres. But the idea behind these iconic locations is that there will be a premium map that is included here. There will also be encounters for some of the most popular systems that will be included here. So if anyone happens to know about a great company, Steamforged Games makes box sets called Epic Encounters. And these Epic Encounter box sets are, of course, physical miniatures, battle maps that you can lay out on the table. But the idea behind them is they're self-contained boxes that you can just lay out and use in your game. This is a digital form of that. And so the idea here is that, I think the first few that we're going to go with here are like a haunted cemetery. We've got a shady alleyway, as you're seeing on the screen, I think there now. And then we've also got a red dragon layer that we're working on. But we've got a list of 50 of these things that, we can potentially do in the future. And I'm sure we're going to add to that list over time. And so the other part that is really important here is that we want this to be a really low price point. And so we're setting this at $5.99 to just pick up one of these and be able to throw into your game. Or if you subscribe for the art subscription, any of these waypoints that we release are going to be included in the art subscription. So you're going to still get the monthly art packs, just like you always have, which again, the art subscription is a massive value. You get thousands.
$1,000. It just crossed the $1,000 mark. over 100 products that you get for $5
Yeah.
a month.
$5 a month, and again, that's $1,000. There are thousands, possibly 100,000 assets now,
Yes.
spread across this. So many incredible assets that are primarily done by our in-house staff artist Josh Watmo, but basically these things are going to be a key part. These waypoints are going to be included in that art subscription, but they're going to be these really great bite-sized things. And again, coming back to camera mode, the real impetus here for us was to be able to really showcase best practices for camera mode, where you can see really good examples by looking at these waypoints of how this can be used. And then also this ties into one of the new features that we've introduced in this newest build. So John, you want to talk a little bit about that part?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that happens behind the scenes a lot of time is we're building all these features, and they're like technical things, and so, you know, and as we add those things like placeable objects and 3D views and skyboxes, that's the one you're seeing new with this release out there. And you can see now with the waypoints how it all comes together. Like, this is sort of the vision of where we were going with the 2.5D view, is to be able to take all of those amazing 2D art assets that are available from all the publishers and bring it in to your RPG experience without having to build all these 3D models or buy extra 3D models, which are usually what happens when people try to build a 3D tabletop. But we wanted to come at it from the other angle. Is that we have all this great 2D artwork. How can we bring that into the experience but make it better?
Yeah, and I want to jump in on that too, because that hits on a very important reason on what people would ask, you know, why would you go to 2.5D and not just do full 3D stuff? And I think, you know, we can see in the VTT marketplace right now that even big players can create 3D virtual tabletops, and it's very complex and very costly to create the assets. So one of the big things is it did some things very, very well, but you don't have enough assets, then it's going to be hard to really kind of push that forward, because you're always going to need something new. And whenever a new adventure module comes out, the time lag it would take to generate 3D assets to support all those things is just monumental, compared to, you know, we have potentially just a month or 2 months to convert a module from the moment we get it in-house to when it goes out the door for the street date. So we can take 2D assets and we can create a lot of really nice looking stuff with 2D assets. And that's really the main focus. We still will probably move towards 3D again in the future. We're not closing that door. It's going to be an option, but it's going to be something that will work in conjunction with our 2.5D stuff. So, you know, basically this gets you a lot of the way there right out of the gate, and then we'll continue to expand and evolve that over time.
Yeah, it's also just great because I know that I've done this a lot. Doug, you were telling me a story about a Fallout campaign that you recently ran, but there's just something about like almost, you know, the cardboard standee and
Papercraft,
papercraft and all that, and this feels like that. It feels like you're setting, like literally setting a stage, like a theater
Hollywood.
stage.
You've got the sound stage, and you've got all that sort of stuff up, and there's wooden planks holding up all of the tavern buildings and all that kind of stuff. Just don't look behind it. You know, you'll see Mongo back there waiting for you.
It's great. All right. Let's if you're interested in waypoints, we also have a panel a little bit later in the day where Josh Watmo, that I mentioned before, and also another of our team members, Joseph Belcher, who is working on the encounters side of this. They are going to show off waypoints in greater detail. Josh is going to talk about, I even think, you know, another key thing that these are going to include is new tokens and standees. And he was showing off 5 or 6 of those yesterday that he had done, and they look incredible for that Red Dragon's lair. So he's going to preview some of that also in that panel a little bit later in the day. So check the schedule for that. All right, let's keep moving to the next one.
So another thing that happens behind the scenes is that we're constantly looking at the game systems out there and trying to figure out which are the ones that we have the bandwidth and the support to work on. And so we're always looking for best of class game systems out there, and we're happy that we were able to work with Darrington Press to offer Daggerheart as part of our included systems that we're supporting. And so Dominic on our team has been working hard to bring this to life. And this screenshot just shows an example of what it looks like. It looks very nice. It takes a little while to get through the process because we have to have official approval from publishers and things like that to bring those to the public. And so and one of the things that we've also been trying to do this year and going forward is convince publishers to just make these rule sets available for free so that everyone can use them. But of course, you know, we sell their books as well. So you can bring those in and then have the full experience with all the data in place. But the game system itself is free. So you can always come and play for free again.
Yeah, and another thing on Daggerheart that I wanted to throw out there because I've already seen requests is we have taken some strides here to make this really reflect the tone and the feel of what Darrington Press has put into Daggerheart. It's a great looking game, and so we wanted to make the Fantasy Grounds theme and interface great looking with it. But I have seen dark mode requests, and so I do plan to make a dark mode version of this theme as well, prior to release. So I'm sure that that's something I'll be working on here pretty soon. But yeah, we're really excited about Daggerheart. It's been incredible to see the response to that because I think many of us who have been involved with the hobby or just fans and players of these games for years have known that there have been there's a big one in the market that is Dungeons and Dragons, and some other games have broken through and are also really prominent there, and we've got them on our platform. Daggerheart is one of those new ones that we saw out there that it's like, okay, this really has a lot going for it, and it's pretty exciting to see response that Daggerheart has had, and it's going to be great to have it on Fantasy Grounds as well. More on that as soon as we have actual news. We will share that with you hopefully soon, TM.
Yeah, because every time we build out one of these game systems, it's not only we don't have to build it, test it, and get it working, but then we have to usually send it to the publisher and get all their official approvals. And so there's a process, but we're definitely working through that. And as you can see, we got a lot of it done already.
All right. Okay. I think that we have several minutes here for questions, which is good. And I see them coming through now. And so I am going to go through our list. If you have questions, go ahead and ask them. We are at the Q&A portion of our stream here today. All right. So we have from Barrel Dwarf F1424. Love that username, Barrel Dwarf. I just want to know from a business standpoint, Doug, I'm going to let you take the lead on this. I just want to know from a business standpoint how that is accomplished, and this is referring to free to play. How revenue for you guys is going to remain front facing and viable?
That's a great question, and it's one that's hard to exactly put your finger on, although we did a lot of research on case studies of other businesses and games and game companies that went through the process of going from a paid application, paid game to a free-to-play game. And, I'm not sure you hear about every case where it didn't work out necessarily, but you definitely have a lot of case studies that did work out well. We looked at kind of what our overall audience is, our current active user base, our user growth projections, that sort of stuff. And we've been able to track that ever since, actually all the way back to 2004. So we've got data all the way through that period. We've seen how it's gone up and down based off of pricing, price points, available options. We used to have a light license, a standard license, and then we had an ultimate license. And we've been playing around with all of these different things, making lots of adjustments. I will say it is still a major risk for us to do this. It's about licenses and subscriptions made up about 50% of our revenue as a company. And so, our projections will require us to basically replace that revenue by bringing in a lot of new users, and then have those users buy content from our various partners and publishers and the various things that we have. Like, so I will say that anyone that's playing the game, if you like the game and you're enjoying it, and especially if you have a lot of free users that have come in and now they're enjoying creating stuff, anyone you can encourage to, hey, just buy this cool dice pack if you see something that looks good. Every purchase of a dice pack or map pack helps. Every subscriber to our art pack subscription, which again I think is a huge, great value, those help. And then obviously buying stuff from our partners, any of these partners that we mentioned otherwise. And then we have tons of other partners that I didn't have a chance to reach out to that I'm sure would have also volunteered to have their stuff on there as well. So, just, I would say, participate in the community and buy stuff that you like from companies and from people that you like to support. And if enough people do that, we think we'll be successful with this transition. But it's definitely, it's a wait and see sort of moment. We've done as much research as we can beforehand. And it's just a matter of, whether or not we can achieve the growth that we need.
Yeah. And, I think adding to that, it's also a situation where, we saw how loyal the support was for anyone who tried Fantasy Grounds. I mean, the people, who are probably watching the stream, when you lock into Fantasy Grounds, the business term for it is stickiness. It's kind of an informal term for it, but it's like how much are your customers going to keep supporting that. And our numbers and the metrics that we see for that are truly massive. Like, again, we appreciate all that support out there. The thing that we wanted to see more of was for the VTT to get into more people's hands. And so that's the key for us is we've got to introduce this to others who maybe wouldn't have tried it because of the cost barrier.
Yeah, and I'll throw out some numbers that we looked at just as an example. So Fantasy Grounds is around 500,000 users that you can check on our forums. Those are how many people have subscribed and created an account on our forums. When you look at kind of our nearest competitors, you've got like Roll20 and D&D Beyond, and they're both at around 20 million each. And so that's a huge gap. And we feel like, we have a lot to offer, basically. And so especially when we add stuff like this reader, where you can now read your content, you'll be able to purchase content and then read it from any device, like your mobile device or your
even content you might not plan to play. I saw DM Greg is in the chat here and saying, I might even buy things that I don't plan to play just because I want to be able to read it now. So
right. So it's just, we're trying to add as much value as possible, and we're giving so much value, I think, just out of the gate for free, that we think it'll just be inevitable that people will stick with us. And then the longer that people stay with us and with the platform, the better we'll do. RPG gamers are very loyal. Like, they typically, RPG gamers spend money where they like to play normally. And so just having us be in that thing and being played and being used is going to be a great benefit for us. And it should also help encourage more people to create more stuff. Sometimes you hear people say, well, oh, what about this niche game that I love? How come we don't see that on Fantasy Grounds? If we get enough users, you'll see more of those things on Fantasy Grounds, because there's going to be there's going to be a market you don't want to miss out on. If you're small enough and you're a paid like Cadillac service, which is what we've kind of been in the past, you don't necessarily get that deep reach into those little niche products. And so we want all the games to be played and to be playable, and just to be a mecca for all RPG gaming.
All right. Next question. I'll take this one because it's pretty easy. But Ola Edu TV, and I'm sure I'm butchering that username. Sorry. Don't forget about stream layers to use on OBS Studio for streamers gameplay. Less a question, more a statement. But this is something that's on my midterm list. It's something I'll look at if there is enough demand for stream overlay things. We can definitely look into that a little bit more. All right, next one from Talarin. Will we be able to turn off the notifications on the top of the screen? So this is in regards to probably toast messages, screen effects there. John, I'll let you take this because I know how you're going to answer. Yeah,
I'll take this one. The answer is no. You just have to live with it. No, but seriously, it's not something that we have gotten to the point of defining exactly what the user experience or the user workflow is going to be. So I think initially we're just going to turn it on for everything and then start to take feedback to refine that. So this is going to be going through most likely, we have a test channel where we showcase all the beta features that we're working on. And this will go through that process and we'll get feedback from users about that experience. One of the things that I try to avoid as the lead tech person is we have often a tendency to have option explosion, where you have an option for everything, but then there's so many options you can't find what you're trying to manipulate. And so you sort of have to strike that balance between having tons of options and just doing the right thing for that experience. So we'll be looking at that and seeing what works best in actual play, and then work backward from there.
All right. Next one here. This was a pretty easy one for me to answer. This looks like it's probably Private Ryan, Priv Ryan. When will waypoints be available? Don't have a date yet for waypoints, but I will tell you that again, we've got kind of an inventory that we're wanting to get through with all these iconic locations. It's very fun to come up with, like, hey, what are some iconic things that can be added in to a campaign? And I have very intentionally told Josh and Joe and everyone who's working on these that we want to have several of these completely done before we get that started, because we want there to be a consistent flow of waypoints coming out. And so again, we don't have a date yet, but there has been a great deal of internal effort on this, and we will share the moment that we have a date for it. But yeah, we're really excited about waypoints because they are going to be a really prominent thing we're focusing on from the assets side, as we head into the end of the year and into next year. All right, let's see. Let's see. Raceland the Twin. Yeah, okay, there it is. It was hard to read because it was all jumbled together. But Raceland the Twin. Will there be an interface for the screen effects? I think this is going to be a similar answer to before, John. But
yeah, that's going to be, I think, a little bit further down the road, because our initial goal is to find great opportunities to insert screen effects that we think are going to be very useful for people. And then from that point, we're going to see how it evolves, how people use it from a developer community perspective, and see what they develop as well. And we have talked about, like, even the parallax effects. It's like, well, how do you create those, right? And right now it's a manual process. And then it's like, okay, well, what would it take to make that a user face fit, user exposed thing? And it's like, oh, you need a whole UI, you need a way to break down the images, like there's a whole process involved. And so we have to figure out what makes the most sense to bring those forward. And also, but we also want to create things that are easy to use. And so there's always that balance between easy to use.
We'll probably, like, as John mentioned, like the parallax effects, if we want to make it easy for people to make cinematic intros like that, we'll probably build a UI just for that one effect. But other effects are going to necessarily need to know where to hook into the system, when do they get triggered, and like the attack animation that goes from the source to the target. You're gonna have to do that in the code to basically set that up. And so, like I said, we're gonna have APIs and we're gonna have examples people can use and look at. And what we think is the best way to apply that in a lot of our main rule sets. You can take that and use that for your own creation and hook it to other things that we didn't think about later on. But those are probably going to be more of a developer sort of a creation technique, I would think.
All right, we've got another one from Priv Ryan. Roll the dice on 2.5D images. Roll dice in camera mode.
He wants to knock over the figures.
Yeah, knock over the standees. yeah. I don't think we have any current plans for that, but hey, if everybody wants to see that, then let us hear about it. We always monitor that kind of feedback. Let's see. Okay, so from FPL Esto, hey, nice to have a reader. Thumbs up. A question though. So the reader does not have every book right now. I said no. It does not have every book. We've got, as I was referencing before, we got almost 4,000 titles, I think, at this point, and it's got about 1,600 at the moment. And those were, from a translation layer perspective, a little bit easier to kind of throw into the beta here early. Some of the other products are going to need some sophisticated combining, because they've been split into multiple modules, player and GM modules, for instance. So those are all things that are on our list. The goal is to absolutely have all of the content in the library on the reader over time, but that's something that we're going to be working on throughout the course of the beta.
And also, we're working with 20 years of these books being created, and so there were different standards over the years. So a lot of that translation layer that Adam was talking about is finding the way to bring those forward and create a better viewing experience than even what they are in the app today.
Yeah, I wish, again, if anybody's just super techie, some of the translation stuff, the development that's going on with that is just really complicated. And it's been fascinating to see, Thomas in particular working on just how that kind of works and everything. And we really have built a system that is really flexible, that is going to help us out a lot as we tackle this process of getting all of that content into place. And like I said, not to be too much of a tease, because we don't have anything concrete to talk here. But the hope is that over time we can make the process of getting an InDesign file from a publisher, which is the standard out there, making that far easier for content converters to pull into Fantasy Grounds as well. And so all of those things are related behind the scenes. But yeah, those are all things that we're going to be working on very actively throughout the beta. All right. We definitely got several questions about, we'll take Dan Harshman, 1050 here, about dual monitors. Do we have any other things to say about dual monitors?
No, one of the things with multiple monitors is that the Unity game engine only supports a single window. So there's no way for us to break it out into multiple windows right now. One thing I do recommend is to, for GMs, you can actually start up a second instance of Fantasy Grounds and put that on your second monitor and see everything as a player would see it in the game. So you can often bring up things on that second monitor to reference in your game while you're working.
But there's a lot of things where you have to drag things across, and you wouldn't be able to drag across window barrier, application barriers very easily anyway. You would lose, like dragging an attack dice. If your target's on the other monitor, other window, then that wouldn't really work. So there's just a lot of technical reasons. I mean, we would do it if it was easy and there was a way for us to do so, because it is often requested. But this feature, like being able to have your reader open in a separate window, is definitely a step towards pulling out some functionality that might be able to live outside of Fantasy Grounds and make that accessible.
Yeah, several questions here, and honestly, I don't know, Doug or John, y'all chime in on this a little bit more, but people are asking about being able to have things that could eventually make it into the online reader on the Forge, and I personally haven't talked or thought about that too much. I'm curious if you two have given that any thought.
It depends. It depends on, obviously, as we talked about, there are different sort of standards that have evolved over the years in the books. And so it really depends on sort of what standard each Forge developer has used in developing their book. Most of them have used more recent books as examples to build their content. So hopefully it would be fairly straightforward. It is not a focus at this point, especially for the reader going through the beta. Our focus is to get all of our content that we currently have in the store into the reader. And then from there, we can look at expanding that out and potentially getting the Forge content as well.
Yeah, and got another question here that's similar, but at Motaya, can community devs support book conversions for the online reader? And the way to answer that is what we are doing with this overall process is that we want the conversion process to be a single process. Like that's the really key thing here is that when you convert content for the application, we want that to be there's a one-to-one between them, and there's just again that translation layer that's happening. And so
our developers, our community developers already, a lot of it is almost a labor of love for some of the smaller systems, especially. We don't want to add a bunch of additional work to their plate. We want it to be like, hey, we'll do that work for you guys as long as you kind of followed our guidelines.
Yeah, and we think that kind of referencing the tease that I had earlier, we do think that we're going to make that process easier for those converters, where again, hopefully you can convert content. Again, just the one time, and it will work in the application, and it will also work, in the online reader. And I think that, one of the things I know from some of my past lives are people want offline access to this content and online access. And what's great about what we have at Fantasy Grounds here is if you've bought products on Fantasy Grounds, the application already gives you offline access to that content. So we've got the offline part handled really, really well. That's where the online reader comes in for the plugged in online. All right. We are just out of time here. I'm going to do one other question here. Let me find a good one. Sorry, a little bit of screening here just to make sure we're not doing duplicates. Okay. Let's see. At Pete Stanley 1, can you make it possible to lock windows in place? Misclicking a token and dragging the whole map across the whole screen gets annoying. I've done that a couple of times myself, honestly.
There are several sort of window management kinds of items that are on our wish list, both internal and external.
Yeah, and I didn't want to say too much about that, but I'm pretty keen on what we're calling window management. So I hope to put a lot more focus on that soon. But I've got to win out with these two.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely factions, I guess is the best word for when we're doing the wish list, and I'm usually on the side of like, hey, we need to be able to maintain it and do all the plumbing that we have to do.
Like new features, new things, new shiny.
And Adam's like, it needs to be easy.
I just try to make sure mom and dad don't fight. No, I'm just joking. Yeah. Everybody gets along really great. I love working on this team. It's great.
But yeah, so the window management features are definitely on our list and are definitely things that we've talked about, and I'm sure we'll see more things like that because Adam and I are trying to engage on sort of user experience and how to improve that. And so there's a lot of ideas around that, and I'm sure we'll see more of that over the next year.
All right, we are out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got a day packed with streaming, so we've got panels at the top of every hour. It's all going to culminate tonight in a live play with some people that I love dearly, that I've played a lot of D&D and streamed a lot of D&D with over the years, the Heroes of the Plains. We are benefiting Extra Life this entire weekend in our games, so be sure to check out the Extra Life donation page that we have up there, and we also have some great support from Codename Entertainment with Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. So we are all going to be playing characters that we have in that video game at the end of our festivities here today. I believe that kicks off at 4 p.m. Pacific. So definitely join us for a 20th level just brawl. It sounds like it's going to be a gauntlet that DM Greg is going to be running for all of us. So really looking forward to that. Again, if you missed this panel or any panel here today, we are going to have the VODs available, after the con wraps up and after I maybe sleep. Tomorrow at some point, but definitely, check it out if you haven't seen it. We, Fantasy Grounds is now free to play, and we have beta access out there for the new online readers. So check those things out and stay tuned with us for the rest of the festivities here today. Thanks. Later, Gators.
Thanks.